And we are back one more time for episode 255 of
The Horror Guys. Yay! I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
We're going to talk about some horror movies this week.
4 movies in a short, as always.
Now, we're going to be a little bit limited on what we give away this week, though, because all 4 of our primary movies are new ones.
Oops.
And we're not going to spoil the heck out of them. But if you want to check out the website, you can read the full spoilery synopsis there.
Yeah, those are at horrorguys.com or horrorbulletin.com.
Here we'll give you a little taste and we'll tell you what we thought of them. And we have mixed opinions today.
Yeah, we do.
There's some good and some bad, and yeah.
You know who's not in any of these films?
Boris Karloff.
He's not in any of them.
I noticed that. But yet, I bet you could read all about him, couldn't you?
You could. The Horror Guy's Guide to the Horror Films of Boris Karloff was released this past week.
Awesome.
250-some pages of scary movies starring Boris Karloff. Every single one of his horror movies, plus a few other influential films that he did. And he did a lot.
Interestingly enough, you think of Frankenstein and the Mummy as how he got his start. He considered, and many people considered, it was a non-horror that actually got him his big break. It was a crime
The
thriller.
Criminal Code.
The Criminal Code, which was kind of interesting seeing that.
And we counted him up. He was in 75 films before Frankenstein.
Yeah.
They were mostly all forgotten. And,
tiny roles or just forgettable movies. But The Criminal Code was a good one.
It was.
Yeah.
And, of course, then there's Frankenstein, the Mummy, and all
many
those
other
mad
things.
scientists.
Yep.
Yeah, stop on over at horrorguys.com/ I believe it's horrorguys.com/Karloff. But if you just go to horrorguys.com and click on books, it's right there on the list.
You betcha.
With links to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Kobo, Scribd, Tolino, or many other places. Smashwords, or you can buy it directly from us at brianshell.com/Karloff.
Run right out and get yourself a copy.
Get 2. They make
Christmas
great Christmas
is coming.
gifts.
Yeah, get one.
This is
for
the one
everybody.
I promised would be out before Halloween.
Okay.
Oops.
Well, it's in time for Christmas.
It came out on Boris's birthday last week.
It did.
It did.
Yeah.
Totally coincidental. Well, anyway, we're here this week to talk about some new movies.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they?
One of them, should I just start out? Was Suitable Flesh. Or you want to hear what?
Yeah, well,
you want me to list them all?
Yeah, what are they? We didn't say what we're going to talk about.
Oh, I thought we did. Okay. Suitable Flesh.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah. Another Haunted Mansion reboot.
That sounds terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A Haunting in Venice. And They Wait in the Dark.
You left my part about slogging through where they wait in the dark.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Yeah. And then our bonus films that we're not really fully going to discuss here. We got Hostel 2 and a kind of revenge thriller. It's got some horror elements to it. But Red, White, and Blue.
Red, White, ampersand, blue.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I Google this, I get ads and stuff for Red, White, and Royal Blue, which seems to be something completely different.
Yes.
So be careful what you're looking for. Red, White, ampersand, blue from 2010.
A gritty tale of revenge, as it says in our newsletter.
And it very much is.
Yeah.
But first, we've got Suitable Flesh, 2023, directed by Joe Lynch, written by H.P. Lovecraft and Dennis Paoli. I think the Lovecraft angle's just a little on the subtle side here.
It's very subtle, yeah.
Let's make a scary movie and put his name in the credits. Stars Heather Graham, Judah Lewis, Barbara Crampton, and Bruce Davison. Hour and 40 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. Hey, did you notice Willard got old?
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
That was like 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Spoiler free. It starts out with a body in the morgue and a woman in a psychiatric cell who tells us in flashback what brought things to that point. And it quickly turns into a wild ride that brings us up to speed and continues onward to a crazy conclusion. It's very gory, moves well, and we liked it quite a bit. Yeah, it's a very... if you like those Lovecraft stories from the 80s, mostly starring Jeffrey Combs, and this is right up there with them. It's made to look like it. It's a similar style.
To it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a retro Lovecraftian story.
Mm-hmm. Had that retro feel. Yeah.
Well, don't spoil it to death for us, but how's it start?
Well, Dr. Danielle Upton talks to the morgue attendant at the Miskatonic Medical School.
That's how you know it's Lovecraft.
That's how you know it's Lovecraft.
Yes.
Yeah, Miskatonic. Yeah. Well, there's a body there that's so crunched up and messed up that they're not even sure it's a person. It's really bad shape. Well, she's going to the psych ward next to talk to an old friend who's locked up in a cell, Dr. Elizabeth Derby. Derby says she wants to make sure they've destroyed the body, but they haven't even done an autopsy yet. Well, Derby tells her story. We see that Dr. Derby is a psychologist, and she's got some kind of annoying patients. We get a taste of what her day is like. And then there's a knock at the door. It's a student, a young guy who wants to talk about out-of-body experiences. He's Asa, and he says he was outside his body, but no one understands. He's really nervous. He's terrified. Talks about, he wants my body, my father. He's looking for me. Well, when Asa... It is Asa, isn't it?
I think it's Asa.
Asa. When he answers his cell phone, he goes into convulsions on the floor. Is he being possessed?
Never saw anybody be possessed over the phone before.
Yeah, but that's how it seems to be triggered, yeah. And he says, am I stricken? When he's much different in personality now. And we notice his hand is kind of bent into a claw. His one hand is kind of...
Never did really figure out what that was about.
Well,
but it's a sign.
Yeah, it was a sign.
It's a way to tell.
Uh-huh, yeah. Well, Derby goes home, and she's kind of obsessed about this new patient. She can't stop thinking about him. After dinner, they have sex, and she fantasizes about it being Asa. Okay, I'm sorry. Asa. But it's really her husband, maybe. Yeah.
They kind of fade back and forth.
Well, the next day, she goes to Asa's house, and she's not even sure why. She's just kind of drawn there. She lets herself into his house, finds Asa's father, Ephraim, who also seems to be in the middle of a strange seizure. Well, he knows who she is. He's read her book. And his hand is also bent into a claw. He's kind of weird and creepy. She doesn't like him at all. He cuts her with a knife, screaming at her to get out of the house, and we see her blood soak into his weird book. Well, at work the next day, Derby hypnotizes a patient for treatment. Asa comes to the door, and that was kind of funny, and she just kind of walks out and leaves the patient in a hypnotic trance. Well, she, tells Asa she has to get back to this guy, and so she goes back in, releases the hypnotized patient. She goes back out, and Asa's gone when she goes back out. So Asa calls Derby that night and says he needs help. So she goes over to his house, finds Ephraim is dying, and Asa says that's the best outcome. He wants him to die. Just let him die. And he does die. Well, Asa says, how long does it take the brain to live after the body dies? It stole my father's knife and now it wants mine. We got to cut his brain out. Asa sounds a little irrational. But then the old man sits up, despite being dead, grabs Asa, chants some words. They both convulse, and something moves from the old man into the younger one.
Probably a good stopping point.
It is, yeah, because stuff happens that night after that, and yeah.
So it's a weird possession story.
It is, yeah.
All right, well, let's see here. Edward, who we didn't talk about, that's the husband. Mm-hmm. He's very different from most horror movie husbands. He's extremely patient, smart, and kind of goes along with the weirdness for a very long time.
Yeah, he does.
When his wife starts body swapping, he's kind of into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not only that, but he actually survives the film, which was kind of unexpected. Didn't look like he was going to a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
There's one point where Darby is backing into someone on the road. She runs over him in the car, and then he's leaning up against the wall, and she backs into him in the car. But the shot is from the back seat facing forwards, but all you can see is her driving and the little rear backup camera. One of those, what do you call those? Backing monitors?
Backup camera, yeah.
And we watch him getting slammed into 5 or 6 times through the backup camera, and that was a neat little detail.
Yeah, it's really got some good cinematography.
The camera work is great, with lots of spinning and psychedelic weirdness to get across what's happening. The acting is fine all around, and overall, it is a lot of fun.
It was my favorite of the week.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Although one we thought was going to be kind of stupid was The Haunted Mansion 2023 from Disney.
I was so pleasantly surprised by this.
This was much better than either of us expected.
Yeah, I saw part of the Eddie Murphy one, and I didn't care for it nearly as much.
Never saw that.
Yeah, I thought this one was way better than that, at least what I saw of it.
Directed by Justin Simeon, written by Katie Dippold, stars Rosario Dawson, Lakeith Stanfield, Owen Wilson, and has Danny DeVito in it, so it can't be too bad.
That's right.
2 hours and 3 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free, what happens?
Well, as the title implies, there's a haunted mansion.
No.
Yep, and many ghosts. But it's a little more complicated than that. A band of misfits get trapped together and have to solve a bit of a supernatural mystery to get out of it. The characters are likable, and the story is fun, and the effects are good. And as we said, it was better than we both expected. It's long. It is 2 hours, but it didn't ever seem tedious, I didn't think.
You say you saw the Eddie Murphy one. How's the story? Is it the same basic story?
Not enough of it to know. Yeah, I just...
Okay.
I watched enough to think, this is kind of dumb, and I'm glad I didn't see it.
Well,
so I don't know.
It's New Orleans, which we are told is a very creepy place. We open on Ben Mathias, who tries to pick up a girl in a bar by talking about NASA's telescope lenses. Well, that's how you do it.
Sure.
Her name is Alyssa, and she says she gives ghost tours. Well, okay, something happened, and time has passed, and now Ben is also a ghost tour guide, which is odd because he always insists that there are no ghosts. He's obviously not very good at this job.
No.
But then credits roll. Yeah. Let's go on a ghost tour. You know there are no such thing as ghosts, right? It's all fake and made up. Uh-huh. Can I have a refund?
He's kind of angry at the tourists. Yeah.
Well, Gabby and her son Travis arrive at their new home after dark. It's a creepy old mansion, and Travis starts seeing ghostly things almost immediately. Gabby tries to convince him it isn't real for about 30 seconds, and then they both see things and run to the car. They nope right out of there like, there's no such thing as ghosts. That's not real. And she looks in the corner and, okay, we're leaving.
There's a ghost. Yeah.
Waste no time.
But there's a problem with trying to leave.
There is. Yeah. In the morning, Father Kent comes to visit Ben. Kent knows about a haunted house, but he needs a paranormal expert such as Ben, who has invented a camera that can see ghosts. We then get a flashback to Ben showing Alyssa his quantum lens that was supposed to change their lives, but instead got him fired from NASA. Apparently NASA does not believe in ghosts.
No, I guess not.
Ben takes the job and drives to Gabby and Travis's house. While Gabby and Travis are sleeping in a tent in the living room. It's just safer, she explains.
There's fewer ghosts there.
Ben doesn't see anything and thinks Gabby is playing a trick on him. Ben laughs and goes home, but soon learns that a ghost has followed him. A ghost that likes to watch Deadliest Catch on TV.
Yeah, it's a fisherman ghost.
Yeah. Not long after, Ben's apartment literally becomes part of the ocean.
Yeah, this is the thing and that's why Gabby and
they went back. Yeah, because the ghost followed them home.
Yeah,
followed them away.
When you go there and then try to leave, a ghost will follow you and pester you until you go back to the mansion. So that's how these misfits get there, and they realize they're stuck together until they figure this out.
Well, Ben comes back to the haunted mansion, and Gabby says, "Yep, right on time."
Yep.
She explains that the ghost followed them when they ran the first time too,
and that's why Father Kent came back.
Yep, he's there as well because he can't leave because of his failed exorcism, and the ghost followed him home. With Ben's help, they plan to figure out how many ghosts are in the house.
Lots of them.
When Ben leaves the living room after midnight, he's on his own, and he's soon thoroughly convinced that it's not a game. They go to see Bruce, a professor, who says that the house just appeared one day long ago. It was never actually built. He wants to come see the house, but he's got a heart condition, so they don't want him to come. But he really wants to come.
Mm-hmm.
There's also Harriet, a medium, who does come to the house and quickly regrets her choice.
Like the others, she's trapped there.
Yeah, okay, and then there's lots and lots of ghosts and hijinks and stuff that we're not going to get into.
Yep, and a mystery they have to solve, and yeah.
Okay, well, to begin with, I am not familiar with either the Disney attraction or the earlier film. I did not see the movie. I've not been to Disneyland World or whatever. So I was expecting a total comedy film. And it does have a lot of humor, but it's also likely to be kind of scary for kids, so maybe not too young kids should be watching this one.
Yeah, I'd say not super young.
Yeah, it's got a bunch.
It's family friendly for the most part.
Some of those ghosts are pretty extreme.
Yeah, you'd want older kids for sure. Yeah.
It's got a bunch of familiar faces playing fairly standard roles, and everybody's good here. Even Owen Wilson, who always plays himself, is kind of appropriate here. You know, I like to pick on Owen Wilson.
You do, yeah.
And of course, Danny DeVito. He's playing Danny DeVito, but that's okay because he's Danny DeVito.
Yep, that's always all right.
There are many name drops. They're essentially product placement. Oh, yeah. They're always using these name brand products for things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it happens enough that it's noticeable and kind of tacky, actually. The special effects are excellent. The creatures and ghosts would be right at home in any grown-up horror film. Kevin said, "It was way better than I expected," as I was about to write the same exact thing. He said it, so I don't have to, but yeah, it was better than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a serious, scary movie, but it was good. We were entertained.
Based on the ride.
What is this ride like? You've been there.
You ride through the Haunted Mansion.
You just sit there and watch
you sit
things
there
happen.
in a moving thing, and yeah, you go from room to room in the Haunted Mansion, and there's ghosts everywhere. And
But it's not like a roller coaster.
no, you ride through on a track in cars, and yeah, and there's the holographic ghosts and so forth. And this was 1976 or so when I went on it, so it was a while ago.
It's probably improved.
But even from then, I remembered a few things that are in the movie that were from that classic ride, like the head in the crystal ball, the ghost in the crystal ball, and the dancing ghosts in the ballroom floating around on the ceiling, and a couple things I recognized, like, oh, that's from the ride.
Okay, so our oldest movie this week is our short film from 2008 called
Classic.
The Black Hole. Written and directed by Phil Sampson and Ollie Williams, stars Napoleon Ryan, a cast of one. Not only that, but it's 2 minutes and 48 seconds, not even 3 minutes.
But it is amazingly effective for being so short.
And you can watch the entire thing for free on YouTube. There's a link in the show notes. What happens?
Well, an office worker has issues with his copier. For some reason, the output is just a big black circle. Except this circle is a portable hole that opens things that aren't meant to be opened. What could go wrong?
We soon find out.
Yeah,
It's good for stealing candy out of the vending machine.
it is. Yeah.
This is kind of old as far as internet shorts go, and it's a little on the low resolution side. I'm like, was this filmed on a potato?
Well, it's just because it's 2008.
15 years ago, it probably was. Still, it does look good. It's nicely paced, and the special effect of the hole works well. And best yet, it's an entire whole story.
It's a whole story.
In less than 3 minutes. You know what it is, you know how it works, you know what happens, and it all makes sense. Maybe not why, but...
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we have our next movie. What's this one?
This was They Wait in the Dark, another new one from this year. Directed and written by Patrick Rea. Stars Sarah McGuire, Lori Catherine Winkle, Paige Maria, and Patrick McGee. Runtime was an hour and 25 minutes, and there's a trailer in the show notes.
Spoiler-free, what happens?
Well, it's a low-budget outing that has plenty of human drama with some external horrors to deal with as well. And our opinions are split on this one.
You liked it?
I liked it quite a bit more than you did.
I thought this was the stinker of the month.
Yeah, I wouldn't go
I regretted the
go that
hours.
far. Yeah, I liked it more than disliked it.
Okay. I noticed this was on one of the... I think we got this off the Rotten Tomatoes top movies of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like up there.
Okay, I wouldn't put it in the top movies, but I
Well, of
I
all the
enjoyed it more
movies
than-
this year, this was one of them.
I enjoyed it more than not more. So yeah, yeah, I didn't hate it.
Okay.
Why don't you give people a taste?
Amy and her son Adrian wake up on the floor of a convenience store. The police show up and they leave. Credits roll. Really?
Mm-hmm.
People are trying to sleep in the corner of a 7-Eleven?
I
That's a
guess.
thing?
Well, it's not a 7-Eleven.
Well, whatever it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Well, then they go to a motel because they had the money from motel. So what's with the sleeping at the convenience store?
Well, just wanted a napsy. Sometimes it happens when you're shopping.
Okay, they go to a motel and the clerk says they need a credit card. He makes an exception and they go up to their room. She goes to the bathroom and pulls up her shirt and she's got a big cut. So something's going on there. In the morning, they go to a nearby diner and Amy knows the waitress Jenny who gives them a ride to the place that they're going. Jenny mentions that all the local teens throw parties and do seances in the front yard of Amy's new house. This was her parents' home, and her father has just recently died. She goes inside, looks at the mess, and murderer is spray painted on the wall in there. The place is a mess, and we get a quick cleaning montage. She goes into the basement, where she finds candles and a pentagram. She thinks it's the teenagers who broke in and did all this, and Adrian asks, is she going to find us? No, no one can find us here. Okay, they're on the run. A woman goes to the convenience store with a photo of Amy and Adrian, and she's looking for them. She then goes out in the parking lot and stabs a guy in the parking lot who is catcalling her. She's tough.
Yeah, this was a good scene given a taste of what kind of person she is.
Yeah. Back at the house, Adrian goes down into the basement alone and lights all the candles around the pentagram. Some weirdness occurs, and he gets locked in the basement. He tells Amy, there's someone down there, but there isn't.
Or is there?
We get a flashback to young Amy looking down at her mother, murdered in bed. Jenny comes by and asks if Adrian knows what happened there. Jenny asks who are they running from? Well, it's Judith, Adrian's other mother, and Amy's former girlfriend. They adopted Adrian together, and then Judith got abusive. That night, Adrian sees someone inside the house, but there's no one there when Amy arrives.
We should stop there.
Maybe they wait outside, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so hijinks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's got a very small budget, and it's clearly obvious. I mean, it's just, normal people walking around a house for the most part. The cinematography is good. Acting, I was not impressed with the acting from anybody.
Oh, I was. Thought it was fine. Yeah,
well, the characters are not likable.
No, there's that. Yeah.
None of the characters are particularly nice people. The story is paper thin and transparent. The whole thing, from the beginning, there's some doubt about who the abusive one really is, and the only mystery was the cultists, monsters, and weirdness, and it all seemed possible right up to the end that maybe it was just Amy imagining it. On the plus side, it was all explained in the end. No, I did not like this one at all.
Okay, and here I thought it was pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
I think the main star, Amy, had no personality whatsoever. I did not like her from the get-go.
Okay, yeah, that's how the character was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, but okay, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
I mean, I don't know if the actor has any range, if she does, but I thought she was fine in this role. I've never seen it. I don't remember seeing her in anything else.
No, I don't remember seeing any of these people before.
No.
Okay, well, now the one that's got people we have seen in it is 2023's A Haunting in Venice.
Big budget movie.
Directed by Kenneth Branagh, written by Michael Green and Agatha Christie, stars Kenneth Branagh, Kyle Allen, Camille Coton, Jamie Dornan, and Tina Fey. Hour and 43 minutes, trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free. This Hercule Poirot mystery is presented like a ghost story, and it's very well done. I mean, if you've seen Murder on the Nile, and what was the other one?
Orient Express.
Orient Express. They're basically, those old-timey old Agatha Christie mysteries. This is one too, but if you've seen the trailer, it's clearly a haunted house ghost story horror film.
They tried to make this one seem more supernatural.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's atmospheric and creepy with a good cast. Really does make us wonder if there's something supernatural or not right up to the end. And we both liked it a lot.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, if you've seen the others, the other 2 or 3 movies are definitely not horror.
I liked this one.
But they are good.
The best of them. I think maybe because I knew this story the least, too. Mm-hmm. The other 2, I saw them, and I had already seen previous versions and actually read the previous ones, too. So I knew how they ended, who done it. Well, this one I didn't know who done it.
Okay. Poirot was a weird character. He's a weird guy.
He's a real
And I think
eccentric.
the first couple of movies were really going out of their way to, show us how weird he was. Mm-hmm. This one here was more about a detective in a haunted house.
Yeah.
He wasn't too... His personality is not quite so on focus.
Yeah.
All right, well, anyway, what happens?
Hercule Poirot has a nightmare about A Nightmare About Birds, and credits roll.
What was that about? We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, there's birds. He doesn't like birds.
Yeah. Well, when he goes out in public, he's swarmed by people wanting help.
He's a
kind
little
of
famous.
He's a little famous celebrity kind of now. Well, his bodyguard is not having it and even knocks one of them down when they're too persistent. Ariadne Oliver comes to see him. They are old friends. She's a best-selling mystery writer, and she has a case for him. She tells him about Mrs. Reynolds, a spiritualist and medium, and she can't figure out how the spiritualist is doing it. What's the con? She went to see her, and she is stumped, she says, so she wants Hercule to figure it out. She's gotten them both invited to a seance tonight on Halloween. Can Perrault debunk Mrs. Reynolds?
I bet he can.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, we all stopped to watch a children's puppet theater production about the plague, which was kind of a little excessive for tiny children in the audience.
Take your little 4 and 5-year-olds to watch a plague story.
But it's a Halloween party for the orphans and the kids. Little Leopold would rather read Poe than play at the children's party.
Nerd.
Yeah, kinda. Leopold offers his oddly behaving father a pill. His mother, Rowena, is the hostess of the party. They live in an old orphanage, and the house is said to be cursed. Alicia, Rowena's daughter, died here just last year. And that's a mistake. His mother is not Rowena. They're not sister. He was not sister of the dead girl.
Who said?
Right here it says that. His mother, Rowena, is the hostess of the party. That's a mistake.
Okay. Well, they look like they were a
compli-
married couple.
It's complicated, yeah. She'll be the focus of tonight's seance, the girl that died. Well, Mrs. Joyce Reynolds arrives. She has many titles, but she prefers medium. She knows Perrault, who says he is retired, but Reynolds knows he is there to debunk her. And he welcomes the challenge. She welcomes the challenge. He says he hopes he's wrong, but he's sure he isn't. And just then, a huge chandelier crashes to the ground in the next room.
The ghosts have other opinions.
Mm-hmm. Perrault checks out Alicia's room and her pet parrot, who hasn't spoken since Alicia died. Reynolds says she is listening, and there's so much pain in here, just like a medium would say. Well, they get set up for the seance, and instead of a crystal ball, Reynolds pulls out a typewriter. Even little Leopold thinks she is a fake. She begins and says the house is filled with the souls of the dead, and the typewriter seems to work on its own. Well, enough of that. Perrault immediately proves that she's fake. She's got a couple of assistants hiding in a wardrobe that are rigging things up. Except just then, Reynolds goes into a fit and channels Alicia. She says that Alicia didn't commit suicide. "You killed me!" It's all very dramatic, except she doesn't say who did. So,
No, of course not.
yeah.
Someone in the room, though.
Well, Ariadne and Perrault talk about the reality or not of what they just saw. Dr. Ferrier checks out Reynolds, and she's fine. She plans to come back tomorrow for another sitting. Perrault has words with Reynolds. He still doesn't believe she's legit. And someone comes out of nowhere and tries to drown Perrault in the apple bobbing basin. He thinks someone was trying to kill Reynolds since he was wearing her mask. Yeah, as a joke, when they were bantering back and forth, she arrives in a long cloak that covers her completely and a face mask. She gives that to him, and he puts it on. Somebody grabs him and tries to kill him, and he thinks, oh, somebody was trying to kill Reynolds.
Or were they?
Well, outside, Mrs. Reynolds is impaled on a statue, so she is clearly dead for real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's probably the place to stop was when the murder happens.
Uh-huh.
Who did it?
Yeah. So
Who killed the psychic? Who killed the girl last year?
Perrault puts the house on lockdown, says nobody's going to leave till we figure this out, and we go from there.
It's all very Agatha Christie from there.
It is.
Venice looks like a very damp place in this film.
It does. It's got the canals, the water, and it's always raining, and it just looks damp.
Is there a supernatural explanation, or is it all a Scooby-Doo mystery with a real murderer hiding behind ghosts? Well, it's filmed as a supernatural horror, but it's Perrault, so you can't be sure which way it's going to go till the end. I'm sure Agatha Christie at the end, it turned out to be a real person and not monsters or anything. But this is a movie, and they tend to shake things up sometimes. You just never know.
Yeah.
It's notably bereft of the huge star-studded cast of the previous Poirot films. There's no Johnny Depp in this one, with only a handful of recognizable faces. This is Tina Fey's first non-comedy role, and she does fine with it. Not really stand out, but she does okay. Michelle Yeoh isn't on screen for very long as the psychic, but she's suitably weird. The previous Poirot films were typical murder mysteries, and so is this one, but it's framed as a horror story, has a lot of the usual tropes, and is filmed like a haunted house type of story. We're led to believe that there are ghosts all throughout the house. It's got a big budget, it looks great, and the cast is all very good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and that's the ones we're going to talk about this week. If you are on our free email list, which you can sign up for over at horrorbulletin.com, you will also hear about Hostel Part 2 from 2007, written and directed by Eli Roth. And if you saw the first Hostel, this is the same thing, only instead of 3 guys getting it, it's 3 girls.
And this was a worthy sequel.
I did like this one as much as the first one is. It's every bit as good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit different. They do shake a few things up, but it's kind of the same thing, just a little different.
Yeah.
And the other one was Red, White, and Blue from 2010, written and directed by Simon Rumley. Stars Amanda Fuller, Mark Center, John Michael Davis, and Nick Holden. And it's kind of long, hour and 43 minutes.
I liked that one quite a bit, too.
I thought it looked kind of horrible from the trailer, but it was quite good. Yeah, we both liked it.
Yeah.
Probably won't be for everyone's taste, but it's a winner.
Yeah.
Actually, if you like Hostel, this was probably right up your alley.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right, so tune in next week when we will have 4 more movies and a short. And we've got some good ones. This week we had all new movies. Next week we have all old movies. Godzilla Raids Again from 1955. I want to say that was the first sequel to the original Godzilla.
I think it was.
Howling 5, The Rebirth.
Oh, my.
Not the first sequel to The Howling.
Oh, my.
Puppet Master 4, The Demon.
Mm-hmm.
Freddy vs. Jason, which, depending on which series you're at, is like way up there.
So it's sequel week.
And Hostel Part 3. Yes, it's sequel week once again. As you can tell, it's a slow week for new horror. Okay, well, stop on in over at horrorguys.com to read spoilers of all the stuff we didn't quite talk to death about today. Mm-hmm. Check out horrorguys.com for all the spoilers. Horror Bulletin if you want the newsletter, or horrorguysshop.com to pick up our books, including Boris Karloff, Vincent Price, Roger Corman, Peter Cushing, Amicus, Hammer, Shock Theater, Universal, silent films. So many books.
So many.
And of course, you can get all those horror bulletin reviews every month with our monthly magazine, Horror Bulletin Monthly. Mm-hmm. We're up to issue 27 coming out next week.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a lot of months.
That's a lot of them.
And of course, you can go all the way back, get issue. I keep on saying episode. Issue number 1 if you want to. Same place as all the books, horrorguysshop.com. Well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you when?
Next week.
See ya.
See ya.